Okay, we would like to give you a short introduction how technology can impact also the interpretation of cultural heritage. I'm Valerie. I'm research associate at the Fachhochschule des Mittelstands, FHM, and I will present together with Giovanni Buono, guest lecturer at LUMSA University in Italy for Fintech, and also co-founder of Fundsfy. Our colleague, Professor Dr. Heike Bähre, has to lecture at the moment, so she couldn't join us at the moment. So at the beginning, we would like to give you a short overview what are different kind of interpretation methods regarding cultural heritage. And then Mr. Buono will tell you something about the possibility of new media as a tool for the interpretation of cultural heritage. And last but not least, I will come back to one of our currently at FHM conducted project. It's the project MICAT, the methodology of interpretation of European cultural heritage through attractions in tourism. The first scientist who tried to find something like a definition of heritage interpretation was the social scientist Hilden, and he defined heritage interpretation as something like an educational activity which aims to reveal meanings and also relationships through the use of original objects. This can be something like a gastronomic tradition, painting, but also something like a monument, for example. And for him, it was very central that there shouldn't be primarily something like a pure communication of factual information. Instead, there should be something like a sustainable first-hand experiences for the tourist. Also, the European Association for Heritage Interpretation tried to find a definition for heritage interpretation, and they are more focusing on a different aspect. They are more focusing on the link which has to be established between the tourists and what they can discover at a special historical site, like a monument, for example. In this way, these methods of interpretation must ensure some central aspects. Of course, there has to be something like a transmitting of information regarding what makes this cultural heritage so special in the sense of a special cultural. So there needs to be something like a clarification of the relevance of a respective culture, of course, but it's also very central to make a link to the tourist, like to the things he previously know, for example, or also some interest, some special experiences of the tourist, and also the values of the tourist, which can be also very diverse regarding the respective culture. So if there could be something like a sustainable link between these both sides, it is also possible to arouse, for example, curiosity within the tourist, or also to fulfill some needs and interests, and also, of course, the satisfaction of the needs of the tourist. Then Mr. Buono will tell you something about some examples for interpretation methods.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm Giovanni Buono. I've been involved in the launch of several projects with a high degree of innovation and technology, and especially in the last years, I've been involved in the fintech industry. So the application of technology in the finance and also in prop tech, in the application of technology in real estate. So I will give you some example of how technology has been integrated and involved in some of the project in these two fields. But before that, just give you a very simple example of how, for instance, some tradition and touristic attraction. Here we see an example of, for example, of the tea tradition in some European region. This can be, for example, used as a touristic attraction, and the way how this in the this phenomenal as a cultural heritage can be seen in two different ways. One is the traditional way we see in the left side, for instance, the typical way how the tourism and cultural area has been presented until yesterday, which is through a tourist guide, and how some of the modern tool can be used as a method of interpretation, like for instance, augmented reality through a mobile phone and application can, when you visit a city, the example you see the Paris, you can have several information to a digital device, and can apart from information can give you also can be connected to, for instance, some shop or some e-commerce, etc. So you can also basically use this technology to foster an economic activity, no? And can you change slide? I think I don't have the control. Yeah, and here you can see also another interesting example. This is a crowdfunding platform. For who is not familiar with this activity, crowdfunding, it basically is a platform that our digital platform that help to finance a project through the general audience. Basically, they are website application where someone can publish a project, a request for the financial aid, and people can finance the project, having an economic return, for instance, no? And in this case, we see, for instance, an example of an old castle in the northwest of Italy. This is in a region where protected by UNESCO, and this was an old abandoned castle. And the town where this castle was built more than 500 years ago want to relive this castle and foster the tourism around the area. So they launched this project, and they were able to finance in a couple of weeks. The total project was for more than 1 million. People finance the reconstruction of this project, and they were able to relive and reconstruct the castle and foster the touristic activity in this region. And this was done in collaboration with some important company like Engel & Volkes, which is a real estate agency, one of the leaders in Europe, from Germany. This is, for instance, another typical example. This is the Dalí Architect Theater Museum in Spain. This is very relevant in this period of COVID-19. This was done together with the platform Matterport. It's a complete virtual reconstruction of the museum and theater, and basically through this platform you have the link, you can see by yourself, you can have a very immersive experience through the screen, the phone, or some goggle, and have a virtual tour of this building. Also experience some of the shows they are performing inside, and basically they avoid the closure during the COVID time. So they were still keeping the activity alive during this period of social distancing. So very relevant now. And I think there is, okay, I leave to you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Now we want also to give you a short overview about MICAT. It's the methodology for the interpretation of European cultural heritage through attractions in tourism. And it's founded by the European Commission. It has a duration of about 3 years, and now we are coming to the end of this project time. We were planning to have our final conference in May, but we will have to shift it and find a digital solution soon. The lead partner in this project is the Economic University in Prague. And there are also 5 different European universities involved, like, for example, the Fachhochschule des Mittelstands, FHM, but also the Economic University in Bratislava, the Universidad Europea de Madrid, the University of Applied Science Burgenland in Austria, and also the University Alexandru Ioan Cuza in Iași. So what have we developed within this project? It's about creating a module for students within tourism science, and the topic is the interpretation of European cultural heritage. So we are creating something like a toolbox with suitable methods, but we are also developing together with our students something like a methodology competence, so where we will be able to adapt these methods to the diverse contexts. The first output was the MICAT syllabus. Was very important for us to find a way to implement sustainable this study course at different universities. So there will be implementation of the study course at 6 different universities in Europe. It's Prague, Madrid, Bratislava, Schwerin, Iași, and Eisenstadt. The second output was the MICAT handbook. So it's an ebook which we created within our project partnership, and it's completely, freely consumable. So you don't have to study it at our university to have a look at it. And we have within this handbook different subtopics of European cultural heritage. So every university has a different focus. We were concentrating mainly in Germany on gastronomic traditions, for example. The Austrians were focusing on music. Spain was dealing with fine art. Romania was focusing on pilgrims, for example. And the second part of the handbook are our methods of interpretation. And we are also trying to include, of course, some new developments within technology, like, for example, virtual reality or augmented reality, but also gaming examples, for example. And the last part of the handbooks are the transfer strategies for diverse tourism markets. The last output are the MICAT guidelines. They are more for companies who are directly involved in the tourism sector. So it's more about how you can implement these methods within tourism, like within companies, for example. So there's more emphasis on best practices, analysis of customer needs, and also, of course, some event management parts and market segmentation. So thanks for your attention. Thanks for having us here. And now we are open for some questions.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Indeed, it's a very interesting project you have already developed. Thank you also to Professor Buono being present here in Suceava, even in virtual form. We invite you to visit when it will be possible to see our area, because we have here a real heritage from different types, historical, religious, arts. So we can also use your results in the future, put in value our heritage. Also, it is very interesting this connection between new technology tools and our old artifacts. I think this is the way in which will be developed tourism in the future. So the generation of tourists are changing. We will deal in the future with the generation for whom the mobile phone is something natural. It's linked with the hand. They cannot do anything without the phone. So we must use these things to give a new life to the tourists, to make the places interested, and to create application. So your project, I think, is one of the first in this area, and open a way for future development. Thank you. And if my colleagues, if the participant wants to ask or to make comments, please.
I would like to say that I think that this project MICAT is quite interesting. My name is Karen Kaszowski from Suceava University. We are ourselves involved in a project related to preservation of cultural heritage, not interpretation, just looking for new ways to convince the owners of old traditional houses in several regions of Romania to preserve them and to find perhaps a new use of them through entrepreneurship. And we are looking forward for MiCAT results, because we would like to disseminate it and to use it for sure in our areas. So just let us know when the results will be done and posted on the webpage. And congratulations for your involvement and for the subject. So looking forward, I know, to have contact with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kaszowski. I know you have good connection with FHM, and you know more, I think, about this project. So we will use your experience for our future activities, and maybe we collaborate in future in this area. Why not?
That would be great.
Other comments, if there are, regarding this presentation? If not, or maybe if the comments will come later, I think it's not a problem. Thank you again for your participation. You are welcome to stay with us at this morning session. And now I want